Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hey everybody, I'm not sure what's going on with this. We are live outside the courtroom. I can't find anybody inside for this sentencing. So she's been standing outside shaking with text updates from inside. So I don't know if that's what we're going to get because of victim impact statements or what. I guess we wait and see. Who is? Both attorneys are in the courtroom and the jury's in the courtroom. Hold on, I've got court TV playing in the back. Let's close that. If y'all see it live anywhere else, let me know, because I don't think they're going to have cameras. That's what I'm hearing now.
To put us up to speed. So, Sierra, welcome. What do you got for us?
Well, Bob, today is Judgment Day for Ruby Franke and her partner in business and crime, Jodi Hildebrandt, here at the Washington County Courthouse in St. George, Utah. You've heard the story before. Last August, the pair were arrested after a young boy broke free from duct tape shackles and called 911. That boy was Ruby Franke's son, and along with his sister, Ruby Franke's youngest daughter, they suffered months of abuse. But okay, a lot has changed since then. Originally, it was 6 counts of aggravated child abuse per defendant, but when Ruby Franke pleaded guilty in December and then Jodi Hildebrandt shortly thereafter, those charges changed from 6 to 4. And that kind of brings us up to speed where we are today. That is what is going to happen here behind me at the courthouse. Actually, the sentencing hearing just began. Each woman has pleaded guilty to those multiple counts, and we're expecting to hear more information. But the big question we have on our hands is, how long will they spend behind bars? Well, we don't know. You heard that right. We don't know. Today, the judge is not going to give us an official number, anything like.
Okay, so this is a huge letdown. I don't think there's cameras in the courtroom, and I didn't know that prior. So she's getting updates from the media inside the courtroom, and she's reading texts. So I guess that's what's going on, and she's talking to this Bob Bianchi about it. So I don't want to get copyrighted, so we're just going to wait for updates. So I guess they're going to give the victims time to talk, too, so. You didn't miss anything, Karchi. Good morning, welcome in. We are dual streaming. We've got Adam Montgomery. We've got Elaine over there fighting for a motion to dismiss in his case. Yeah, Leslie, I just heard that, too. And maybe because of the age of the victims is why they decided not to. Which makes sense. So let's see. Let's listen to her for a minute and see if it started.
time. And so I think that's really part of it, is just the shock of something like this you don't expect to see in a small-ish town like this. I was just talking to people actually right before I came on air with you, and it's still months later, people are still shocked by the details.
Yeah. So what do we expect to hear from either of the defendants, Ruby or Jodi, and or any of the children as part of a victim impact statement?
Okay, I'm glad that you asked this. Right now, we don't know, but are hoping to learn soon. So we could hear a victim impact statement from Jodi or from Ruby, either of them. As for the children, we're unclear. I actually want to read you a text that I received yesterday. This is from Kevin Franke's attorney. So I reached out to him and was wondering whether Kevin Franke was actually going to appear, if there was going to be any sort of victim impact statement from him or the children. And I want to read this because it's very interesting. He said, "Neither Kevin nor I will be making formal statements to the press, nor will Kevin be making a victim impact statement. Since the kids are still in the custody of Utah DCFS, which is juvenile care, foster care, I suspect that neither will they be. Our only comment is that we trust the judge to sentence them both to 1 to 15 years for each of the 4 counts to run consecutively. Then it will be up to the Utah State Board of Pardons to decide if that will be shortened or other conditions imposed." Now, here's the part that I really want you to pay attention to. "The treatment these children received at the hands of those who the children had a right to trust was horrific and inhumane, both physically and psychologically. Kevin, Ruby's estranged husband, remains focused on the rehabilitation of these sweet and vulnerable children so that they might return to a normal life as soon as possible."
Well, Sierra, you're bringing up a couple of things now. We're going back and forth real good here, like a little bit like a tennis match. Okay, that's a beautiful laudatory statement, okay. But let's talk about Kevin Franke himself. This is the father. This is the husband of the defendant. He was living in the home during some of the time that these events were alleged to have occurred, no?
So this is where things are kind of...
Okay, so does Kevin have custody now, or are they still in state custody? The minor children? Yes, Kristen, they both pled guilty. So I really want to hear what their sentences are. I had no idea they weren't going to let the cameras in. At least have audio or something. Elaine is still yammering, listen. Her voice, I can't. So I'm going to keep cutting in and out of this just for copyright purposes. Because I don't want to get strucken. So when she starts to look at her phone, I'll open it up again because that's when she's communicating with the courtroom. We've got 2 studios open right now on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining. As soon as they get Bob Bianchi off the screen, I'll go back. They're still in state custody. Thank you. Is that right? That's weird. And I said Christian. Hello, Chihuahua. Hello, Lavender. Okay, let's listen in again.
However long that may be, she will continue to be monitored by the Utah Division of Children and Family Services, so forever she's going to be watched. And as for her relationship with her children, there's no law that says they have to maintain contact with their mom. She won't have custody of them anymore, so I think it's really up to the children and their father whether they will actually see Ruby Franke or Jodi Hildebrandt in the future. That still remains to be seen.
All right, Sierra, let's let our audience understand, and maybe you can educate me as well. I mean, we've read the articles. You know this case inside and out. You're out there. You got the feel of what's going on. How does this all happen? I mean, Frankie has got this website. According to the article, she gets this involvement with Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt's kind of like a life coach-ish kind of person. They form this relationship. And Frankie, I think, has suggested that she was influenced by Hildebrandt. Talk to us a little bit more about Hildebrandt. Who is she? Is she some sort of Svengali or some kind of person that can cause somebody to go from a good, decent, law-abiding citizen and mom to a child abuser facing state prison? What do we know about her?
There are a lot of conspiracy theories.
Okay, so I kind of wondered if Kevin was going to testify and say, you know, I was a victim of Jodi and talk about what Jodi did. And, you know, I kind of think that he should, because there's probably more Jodis out there. Don't you think there's more Jodis out there doing this kind of stuff? I do. And I feel like if he highlights what she does, maybe more people will be, you know, more prone to come forward. Especially men who feel like they've been taken out of their family and ostracized, you know? That was Jodi's MO. Was to separate the husband and the wife-ish. It's disturbing. The hearing, I guess, is about to happen. We don't get cameras, guys, unfortunately. But we have Sarah Gillespie from Law and Crime standing outside of the courthouse. It's raining. And she is communicating via text with someone that's in the courtroom. And I guess they set the media up in the jury box in there. But she doesn't seem to be getting any updates, which is really unfortunate. They say there's local and national media there. They're still just yapping. No updates yet, guys. Here, I'll let you listen in for a minute.
Because there are extremists in any religion, I'm sure that you would know. But I don't believe that the LDS Church has come out and made a giant statement about this. I'm sure that they, you know, are against any sort of child abuse or any of the charges that either of these women face. But I don't believe that they have a giant hand in what's at play here.
All right. Well, listen, great reporting. Really appreciate it, Sierra. We're going to stay with this, and you're going to stay with us, and we're going to read some updates from our executive producer, Kathy Russin, who is in the courtroom as we speak. But as we wait for those updates to roll in, let's take a look back at the 911 call that prompted these arrests. And again, remembering this is kind of like a really chilling scene that both this neighbor and the police encountered when this whole thing unraveled.
911, the address of your emergency. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. We know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated. He's got tape around his legs. He's hungry and he's thirsty. And he asked us to call the police. So he's very afraid. This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. I mean, we need the cops here as soon as possible.
All right, well, there you hear it. I mean, this 911 tape that unraveled.
Disgusting. That 911 call makes me sick. So it sounds like we're going to have to wait for updates. So I think I'm gonna... Do you guys want to stay with this? Or do you want to just update, go over to Law and Crime? Because she's got her phone out, though. She's got her phone out. Let's see if there's an update. We'll stick with it. We'll stick with it.
Yeah, I think this is something shocking. I mean, we've heard that 911 call over and over, and I feel like every time I still am like, what? I can't believe something like this would happen. But the neighbor himself actually said things have been kind of funky at that home in the past. I have noticed some things that were different. And according to the court documents, we know some pretty harrowing details. I mean, right now it's raining. We're in the winter time, but in the summer, it gets pretty scalding hot out here. And those are the months of this abuse from May of 2023 all the way to August. Temperatures here can get upwards of 115 degrees. I mean, it's really hot out. And some of the abuse included having these children outside for hours on end without sunscreen. I mean, they were completely blistering. At times, they were hooked up with handcuffs on their wrists and on their ankles. I mean, you could really see the damage on their hands and on their ankles. But I do want to pivot very quickly because, as you said, we have our executive producer inside. She just gave me some really good details. I'm reading this to you now. I have not gone through it yet. But she said Ruby's son Chad and her husband Kevin are in the courtroom, who we've been talking about a bit too. Chad is not the person who sustained the abuse. That was her younger son Russell, but Chad is an older adult. Ruby has entered. The judge is on the bench. Prosecutors asked the judge to honor the plea agreement. This is a quote. She committed horrible acts of child abuse in a concentration camp setting. I mean, you can see the very harrowing description there. The prosecutor said each of the younger children believed to the extent that they deserved the abuse. And this is something we had seen in the past in those court documents, that the children believed they were evil, that they were possessed, that they had to endure this torture in order to repent and have their sins forgiven. Now, Ruby's oldest daughter, Sherry, is also here. Ruby said these words, quote, "Kevin, you are the love of my life," and Kevin is crying. So that's what is happening right now behind me in the courthouse.
All right, well, let's bring in Lauren Matthias with us as a journalist and host of the Hidden True Crime. Lauren, can you give us an idea of what's going on in that courtroom right now? It sounds to me like it's the lawyers trying to justify to the judge the plea agreement so that the judge accepts the plea and goes forward with sentencing. What's your thoughts?
You know, it's interesting to hear that Chad is there as well as Kevin.
Okay, so here is a quote. Thank you so much, Chihuahua, for your super chat. Ruby, okay, so this is a quote from Ruby. "Kevin, you are the love of my life." And Ruby is speaking now. No cameras in the courtroom, as far as I know. Okay, here's more updates.
Out and we're right in front
She's
of
checking
you,
her
murder
phone.
cases, things of that nature. This was something where a crime was literally lying in wait. It was being hidden.
They need to just let her do her thing, because she's getting live updates and they're sitting here talking sideshow shit. Come on. Look, she's ready. Welcome, mate. Iffy Ray, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But we'll get back to Sarah Gillespie when she reads her updates. They've already pled guilty, so there's no turning. Now it's just the sentence. What do you mean what happened to Adam Montgomery? We're still live with that. Yeah, where's Matt when you need him? As far as I can see, Court TV isn't even there. Adam Montgomery, they're done for the day. So I gotta hop over there. So we're gonna listen to this for a minute, and I'll be right back. I gotta end that stream.
Probable cause, it stated life-threatening injuries. You know, think about that for a second. Life threatening injuries, and that they refer to this as torture. You mentioned a concentration camp, and yet this is only a second-degree felony in Utah. And I think that's something that also we need to see as well, is that in aggravated abuse in the state of Utah is a second-degree felony, and I'm really interested in that and your thoughts on that as well. But I think the severity of this abuse, that it was in hidden plain sight by people that were prominent, good people in the community, is really a big factor in what makes this so shocking, as well as the YouTuber mother.
Yeah, I mean, great questions, and I would like to answer that question. Sentencing parameters are very difficult. As a prosecutor, we want to make sure, and as a defense lawyer, and as a judiciary, that we have reasonable sentencing guidelines. Sometimes, one set of guidelines does not fit all, that's for sure. But I'm going to get back to that question, Lauren, because I think it's a good one. But I'm being told right now that Sierra, who's on the ground for us here at the Law and Crime Network, has some updates with regard to the sentencing. Sierra.
Hey, Bob, here's the information that I have for you right now. Ruby Franke's sentencing has finished. It is 10:20 local time, so that's 20 minutes. There's a 10-minute recess before we're hearing from Jodi Hildebrandt, and I want to read to you some of the information from our executive producer inside. The defense says Ruby Franke is committed to doing the work. Quote, she is a delightful and respectful person. Here's a statement from Ruby herself. I was led to believe this world was an evil place filled with church leaders that lie and molest, and children who need abuse. My choice to believe this led to criminal behavior. Jodi Hildebrandt was never my business partner. She was my son's counselor. Ruby said she's never received any wages. She also again mentioned Kevin was the love of her life. Now, Ruby continued on saying, my choice to live in fear of the world has created a blind spot for me. Watching my community respond to my charges with justice, mercy, grace, and love, this world is full of really great people. I'm sorry for twisting God's words and distorting this doctrine. This is a big one here, Bob. I'm willing to serve a prison sentence as long as it takes to unravel for what I believe. So that is very interesting what we're hearing right now. And I do believe, I'm so sorry that I'm getting rain all over my phone and it's not acting exactly how it normally should, but I do believe, yep, this is correct here. 1 to 5 sentences, 1 to 15 rather, sentences are all set to run consecutively. So that's what we're just learning right now. Those sentences will run consecutively.
Okay, all right, appreciate it, Sierra. All right, I'm being told that there's something going on with regard to sentencing in the courtroom, so let's go in.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to District Court. We're here for sentencing in the matter of State of Utah versus Ruby Franke. Ms. Franke is here with Mr. Windward. Mr. Clark and Mr. Sham are here for the State of Utah, and we are ready to proceed with sentencing.
We are. Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, the terms of the sentence were agreed to as part of the plea agreement, correct?
That is correct.
There is a pre-sentence investigation report in the matter. I have reviewed that. Everyone has seen it.
Yes.
What about restitution, counsel, before we move on with other matters?
We'd like to leave that open at this time, Your Honor. I can get into that. I might be more comfortable if we approach to get into that.
Is there an agreement that restitution, that we reserve that, and for what period of time?
8 months is what we're anticipating, but I haven't talked to the defendant's counsel about that.
We haven't discussed that, Your Honor.
Is there any objection?
No.
All right.